Welcome to the Left Library, home of simplified political theory. Today we're diving into Friedrich Engels' Principles of Communism, a foundational text that offers a clear and concise explanation of what communism is and the principles it stands on. Written in 1847, this work was drafted as a precursor to the Communist Manifesto and provides an accessible framework for understanding the revolutionary ideas that Marx and Engels were developing at the time. Let's break it down step by step, exploring the main concepts and principles outlined in the text. Along the way, we'll uncover how Engels explains the abolition of private property, the historical role of class struggle, and the revolutionary measures needed to achieve a stateless, classless society. These ideas, radical for their time, remain deeply relevant today. Engels begins by defining communism in simple terms. Communism, he writes, is the doctrine of the conditions of the liberation of the proletariat. The proletariat, as Engels defines it, refers to the working class, those who sell their labour to survive because they own no means of production. Communism focuses on transforming society so that the majority, the working class, can escape exploitation and take control of the wealth that they produce. Engels emphasizes that this liberation requires abolishing private property. He states, the distinguishing feature of communism is not the abolition of property generally, but the abolition of bourgeois property. Here, bourgeois property refers to the private ownership of factories, land, and resources by the capitalist class. Engels argues that this form of ownership creates inequality and exploitation, as the wealth produced by workers is taken as profit by the owners. Engels situates communism within the broader history of class struggle. He argues that history is the story of competing social classes, masters and slaves, lords and serfs, bourgeoisie and proletariat. Each era of human history is defined by these struggles. He writes, "The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles. This principle, later elaborated in the Communist Manifesto, is central to Marxist theory. In Engels' view, capitalism has intensified class divisions. The development of industry has concentrated wealth and power in the hands of a few, while the vast majority, the proletariat, live in increasingly precarious conditions. Engels believes this creates the conditions for revolutionary change." Engels outlines several key goals of communism, which include 1. The abolition of private property. This does not refer to personal items like clothing or homes for individual use, but the private ownership of productive resources like factories, land, and machinery that allow exploitation. Engels explains that this type of property underpins capitalist inequality. He writes that it enables the wealthy to extract profit from workers' labour, perpetuating a cycle of exploitation. Abolishing such property, he argues, is essential to ensuring that the means of production are collectively owned and benefit everyone, rather than serving private gain. 2. The elimination of class distinctions. Engels envisions a society where economic divisions, which define social classes, are erased. He explains that class distinctions arise from unequal ownership of property. When the means of production are collectively owned, the economic basis for these distinctions disappears. Engels emphasizes that this will allow individuals to contribute to society based on their abilities and receive resources according to their needs, fostering true equality and mutual respect among people. 3. Universal equality. Communism seeks to end not just economic inequality, but also social and political oppression. Engels underscores that capitalism concentrates wealth and power in the hands of a few, perpetuating systemic injustice. True equality, he argues, requires restructuring society so everyone has access to education, healthcare, and opportunities for personal development. This is more than redistribution. It's about creating a new system where resources are managed democratically to ensure fairness and justice for all. One striking quote captures this vision. Communism seeks the emancipation of humanity as a whole, but it can only achieve this through the emancipation of the working class. This underscores the idea that liberating the majority is the path to universal freedom. Engels explains that the transition to communism will be driven by revolutionary change. He writes, "The proletariat must seize political power in order to establish its own social order. This means overthrowing the existing capitalist state and creating a new form of governance that serves the interests of the majority." He also highlights the importance of international solidarity. Capitalism is a global system, and so the struggle against it must also be global. Engels notes, "The communist revolution will not be a national event, but must take place simultaneously in all civilized countries. This reflects the interconnected nature of capitalism and the necessity for a unified international movement." Key measures of the proletarian revolution. Engels provides a concrete list of measures that a proletarian government might implement to transition toward communism. Some of these include the abolition of inheritance rights, the centralization of credit and banking in the hands of the state, the establishment of free public education for all children, and the combination of agriculture and industry to eliminate the divide between urban and rural life. These measures aim to dismantle the structures of capitalist exploitation and lay the foundation for a new, equitable society. Engels emphasizes that these are not the final goals, but steps toward a fully communist society. Finally, Engels describes the ultimate aim of communism as the creation of a society without classes or a state. To understand this, Engels begins by explaining that class distinctions arise from economic inequalities. One class dominates another because it controls wealth and resources. The state, according to Engels, exists primarily to maintain this dominance. He writes, "The state is nothing but a machine for the oppression of one class by another. As long as class distinctions persist, the state remains necessary to enforce the rule of the dominant class." However, Engels argues that by abolishing private property and redistributing the means of production, the economic basis for class distinctions will disappear. When no class has the ability to dominate another, the state, which serves as an instrument of coercion, becomes obsolete. He envisions a system where the government of persons is replaced by the administration of things. In this future society, governance would shift from enforcing control to managing resources and services collectively, guided by democratic participation. This transition reflects the ultimate goal of communism, a cooperative society where all individuals contribute according to their abilities and receive according to their needs. Engels emphasizes that this vision is not utopian, but grounded in the material conditions of society. By eliminating the structures of exploitation, humanity can organize itself in a way that prioritizes collective well-being over individual profit or coercive authority. Engels' Principles of Communism remains a vital text for understanding Marxist thought because of its clarity and accessibility. It provides a concise summary of key Marxist principles and connects them to the practical goals of the proletarian movement. Moreover, it demonstrates how Marxist theory is rooted in the material conditions of its time, offering lessons that are still relevant today. To sum up, Engels' Principles of Communism outlines the fundamental ideas of Marxism in a straightforward and systematic way. It defines communism as the liberation of the working class, explains the historical context of class struggle, and sets forth the goals and methods of the communist movement. Through its clear and logical structure, this text serves as a roadmap for understanding the core principles of a revolutionary movement aimed at creating a just and equitable world. If you found this overview helpful, consider diving deeper into the text yourself. And if you're new to the Left Library, don't forget to subscribe for more simplified political theory.